Hey everyone, Zandom here again with another Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition basics. Sorry it's been a while, I've been pretty busy with college and whatnot, but here I am again with the Bard class this time. Let me start off by telling you what exactly the Bard is, what the Bard can do. Pretty much the Bard is a support class. You are not going to be the highest damaging person in your party, and you're not going to be the tankiest person in your party, but you do have a wide range of healing spells and pretty much support spells like debuffs, buffs, all that kind of stuff that just your party needs to help you out with, or the party needs for the most part. Bards also are pretty interesting to play. The way that they work, at least in most of my games that I have bards in, I pretty much consider them accessing the powers of magic that the gods do. So it's not technically divine, they're pretty much accessing god power, but to a lesser extent, which is really interesting because they're just drawing into the energies of creation and stuff, so it can be pretty fun for RP and that kind of stuff when you do that. So let's start off with races. The races I would recommend for playing a bard would be humans, tieflings, half-elves, and dragonborn are alright, because they have an increased charisma. Those are just the recommended ones, because you can get improved stats for charisma, which is your base spell casting ability. So here we go, making a first level bard. And I think this bard will be a tiefling. I simply like tieflings. They are my favorite race in Dungeons & Dragons, mostly due to the fact of they're kind of discriminated against in most settings, so you can kind of play it up, so it's kind of paradoxical, because the bards are normally, people love bards, but if you're a tiefling they're going to be a lot more reserved around you. So it can make for some interesting RP and all that kind of stuff. So as a tiefling you get a +1 to intelligence and a +2 to your charisma. And I will be using the standard stat array, like always, 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. These are the things that you will allocate into your stats here. And of course, I will be putting my maximum of 15 into charisma. So that's 17, or a +3. It's a very good starting stat. Let's see here. My next highest stat, I think I will put it in dexterity. That'll be a +1, or no, that's a +2. If I remember correctly. Dexterity is always nice because it raises your armor class, and you, as a bard, you will be proficient with finesse-based weapons like rapiers and the such. And seeing as though you don't have that many offensive spells, you're going to be doing a fair bit of melee. It's more or less you're going to be fairly close to your fighter or paladin or whoever in combat, and you're going to be supporting them somewhat. See, for my next stat, I think I will put it into put my 13 in Constitution. It'll be a +1. I'll put my 12 in Intelligence, so 13. The rest of these don't really matter all that much. It's mostly just down to preference. I, as a bard in this, for this character, I really don't think strength will be that important, so I'm going to leave strength as an 8, and I'll put my wisdom at a 10. So, no, this bard does not lift, unfortunately. He is quite feeble, but he's able to stick people pretty well with a rapier and the like. And is not too unhealthy because of a decent constitution. Let's see here. Just let me flip through my book real quick. Starting hit points as a bard is 8 plus your constitution modifier. So that would mean this is starting with 9 hit points. Tieflings get a speed of 30 feet. And let's move on to the racial traits of the tiefling. I like the tieflings a fair bit, mostly because they start off with certain spells, such as tieflings always know thaumaturgy, which is a pretty fun spell because you can pretty much make a manifestation of like demonic or godly powers, like changing your eye color, making the earth shake a bit. It's interesting, and it can be pretty fun for RP kind of stuff. And yeah, I just like it. Let's see here. First racial bonuses, dark vision. A lot of the races have dark vision. Pretty much means can see 60 feet in dim light as if it were bright. Dim. No light is like dim light for 50 feet. So you can see in the dark fairly decently. As a tiefling, another reason I like tieflings is hellish resistance. You have resistance to fire damage. This is really nice because resistance means you take half damage from it. So pretty much fire damage, you're not going to really get hurt by it, which means you're better against a number of wizard spells, against a lot of fire-based enemies. So if you're going to be playing a campaign where you're going in like a volcano or something, I don't know, and you know that beforehand, maybe you pick a tiefling. Alright, and last one for the racial bonuses. Infernal Legacy. Infernal Legacy means you know thaumaturgy at level 3. Learn Hellish Rebuke. Let's see here. Usable once per long rest. Level 5. Learn Darkness. Usable once per long rest. So this means you get, for the most part, bonus spells, and these spells are based off of your charisma. So as a bard, you will already have high charisma, so you'll be able to cast Hellish Rebuke and Darkness quite effectively once you reach those levels. And back onto the bard traits. Let's see here. Bards have spell casting, of course, because they're spellcasters. So let's just go to spells. Let's see here. Yeah, you know, thaumaturgy already. And as a first level bard, you know 2 extra cantrips. So, these extra cantrips are from the spell list in the back. There's Blade Ward, Dancing Lights, Friends, Light, Mage Hand, etc., etc. What I like as a bard is to have Vicious Mockery. This is the only bardic damaging spell. It deals psychic damage, which not that much really does. Out of like, I'm pretty sure this is the only psychic damaging cantrip. Does a d4 and it gives the enemy disadvantage on their next attack. So it really fits in the theme with debuffing the enemy and all that kind of stuff. quite fun. And the next one, you can pretty much have it down to whatever the heck you want. I'm not going to take Prestidigitation because that's really similar in what it does to Thaumaturgy. And we already have that. I think I will take along Dancing Lights. Dancing Lights can be kind of fun, and it also fits in with the bard theme of, hey, maybe whenever you're playing your instrument or something, you have dancing lights just floating around you and all that. So if you describe things like that whenever you're performing, maybe the DM will give you a bit of a bonus or advantage, something like that. Most DMs like that kind of stuff. Alright, and as a first level bard, you know 4 spells and have 2 spell slots for first level. These spells, if you're not familiar with spellcasters, this means you have 2 spells that you can cast every long rest for the first level slots. This is a counter of how many you have left. And as a bard, you know 4 spells that you choose from the first level spell area here. Now, let's see here, what looks good? Something that I like to take is Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Yeah, this is a really fun spell, Tasha's Hideous Laughter. It pretty much forces the target to pretty much collapse in a fit of laughter until they succeed on a will save, which most low-level creatures won't be able to save against. This is a really good spell pretty much throughout the entire game because it's just a single target. Like, it's pretty much hold person, but it's more, let's say, colorful. I've had some really funny encounters with that spell. Let's see here, the next one I would take is Cure Wounds. This is a basic healing spell. You have to be right next to them to cast it, and it restores a d8 plus your charisma modifier, if I'm not mistaken. Very good for 1 or 2 people to know this spell in your party. Next spell I would take is Detect Magic. If you have other people in the party who already know Detect Magic, you might not want to take it because of just overlap and all that kind of stuff, but this is a really good utility spell just for like pretty much finding out if there's magic traps in the area, finding illusions, say there's an illusionary wall, you can find that out real easily. And Detect Magic, also you can cast it literally as many times as you want per day, because it's a ritual spell. It takes about a minute to cast, granted, so you'll never be using this in combat, unless you want to sit down for 10 turns. But, a useful utility spell nonetheless. And this last one, you can pretty much do whatever you like with it. Some people might want Disguise Self, so you can change your appearance. Maybe you could have your tiefling turn into a human, make himself look like that, since they're about the same size and all that. Maybe you want something else, like maybe Sleep. That's pretty much a crowd CC. I don't like it because it's a bit unreliable at times. Let's see here. I think I'll take Dissonant Whispers. This is another fun spell. It pretty much creates a arcane whispers in the target's ear that pretty much make him partly insane and deal psychic damage to them. Fun spell, and this will really be your only damage spell in this list. You could also take Thunderwave if you want, but Thunderwave is pretty much an explosion out from you, and Dissonant Whispers has quite a bit of range, and I think it fits in with the Tiefling theme. Quite fun indeed. Those are all the spells checked out, and next to the other bard traits. There's only one bard trait at first level, and this is Bardic Inspiration. Bardic Inspiration is pretty much you inspire a target. Well, it's pretty much I'll just read it from the book. As a bonus action, on your turn, choose one creature other than yourself within 60 feet, and they gain a Bardic Inspiration die. So pretty much, you can use this to go and give one of your party members a d6 that they can add to a skill check. Very useful. So minor action, give a creature not you. You can't give it to yourself, unfortunately. D6 to add to a skill check. It lasts for 10 minutes. Let's see here. Once used, it is gone. Let's see here. Can be used equal number of times to modifier. So pretty much you can use it as many times as you have your charisma modifier. So this means you have 3 uses out of this. Now what I like to do if I'm modifying this, like if I bring like a computer, is bold this. Or the number of times you can use it. If you're not, you're just going to want to write it in so you can erase it and change this. But this is another really good bard skill, which pretty much just, if you're having a tough time, if there's like, if you're down to the wire and it's a 1 hit left, do or die situation, you can do this to pretty much ensure that your ally hits. And that is always nice to have. Let's see here. Now let us move on to starting equipment for the bard. Bard starts, oh yeah, so Tiefling knows Common, and you inherently know Infernal. So you know the language of demons. Let's see here. Light armor. You have a light armor proficiency, which means you're going to be able to wear at least some armor. That's better than most spellcasters, because wizards and sorcerers and the like cannot use any armor. Simple weapons and crossbow. Long sword. You get the long sword since that's strength based. If you're doing a strength based bard, this is a dex based bard. So a long sword would be really bad for this guy. Rapiers, short swords. Alright, so on with the equipment. Starting equipment you get as a bard is a longsword, a rapier, or any simple weapon. For the first line, I think I will take a rapier, because that is more or less the best thing that you can take as a bard. It is dex based. So you can take a diplomat's pack or an entertainer's pack. We'll decide that later. Take an instrument, a lute, or any other musical instrument. Let's see here. I think I will just take a lute. Why not? No need to have anything fancy. If you want, you can make up a story that goes along with how your guy got your instrument. That makes for some interesting RP. You can make your character rather attached to your lute or instrument or anything of the like. You also get leather armor, and a dagger. Now for the pack, let's see how or what differences there are really quickly. So the differences in packs, Entertainer's pack starts off with highest gold value in the game with 40 gold. Very high starting gold. You also have a disguise kit and a few other basic things. Diplomat's pack has everything you pretty much need for writing up documents. I think I'll take an Entertainer's pack. So, with the Entertainer's pack, you start with 40 gold coins, a backpack, a bedroll, 2 costumes, and you can just describe what these costumes are, what they look like. It could be part of your, performance routine as a bard. 5 candles, 5 days rations, water skin, and disguise kits. That is what comes in the Entertainer's pack. Alright. So some basic things, nothing too amazing. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Spell casting ability, charisma, bard, and your spell save DC. This is an 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your charisma modifier. So that would be 8 plus 2 plus 3. So they have to get a 13 if they want to break free of your spells, like Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Quite fun. And your spell attack modifier is your proficiency bonus plus your charisma modifier. So that would be 2 plus 3. That would be plus 5 on all your spell attacks. That would be things like Dissonant Whispers or Vicious Mockery. Alright. Now let us determine the armor class. So we have leather armor, which if I am not mistaken has a armor class of 11 plus your dex modifier. So that would mean a 13 armor class. Not the worst thing in the world. I mean, wizards and sorcerers have it worse, but you're not going to be the headline guy. You're not going to be fighting outright for the most part. For your initiative bonus, you get a plus 2, because that's just your dex modifier. As a bard, you are proficient in which saves dexterity and charisma. And that's quite useful. Let's see here. So that if you're proficient in a skill, that means you get a plus 2 towards it. So that means plus 5 on charisma saves, and a plus 4 on dexterity saves. And I'll just fill the rest in. Intelligence is plus 1, wisdom is 0. And strength is minus 1. Alright. Now, for the weapon damage, you have your rapier, and you have a dagger. You add since you're proficient with it, you add your proficiency bonus, and you add your dexterity modifier, because these are both finesse-based weapons. So, with the rapier, you get a plus 4 on all your attacks. Same thing with your dagger. A dagger is 1d4, plus your dex modifier of 2. Piercing damage. The rapier is 1d8 plus 2 piercing damage. Now, both your melee weapons are piercing damage, so you're not going to be the best against, skeletons or anything alike, unless you want to get something like a mace or club, you'd be proficient with both of those, I'm pretty sure, because that falls under simple weapons. But maybe you were going to want to buy some extra weapons or something to get a more varied damage type. Let's see, for your hit die, bards get a d8 hit die. 1d8. So this means at a short rest you can use this hit die to recover up to 8 hit points. Can be quite useful, really. Now let us determine our background before we find out our skills. I think I'm just going to go with the entertainer background. That's pretty much a basic for a bard. You pretty much just were a musician and eventually discovered through music you could cast spells, that kind of stuff. Pretty basic. If you want something different, you can choose something different. As an entertainer, it will mean that you're going to get some of your abilities that you can get as a bard, just already getting them because entertainer. So as an entertainer, you have automatic proficiency in acrobatics and performance. Let's see here, you get proficiency with disguise kits, and oh yeah, as a bard you're also proficient with 3 types of instruments. As an entertainer you're proficient with 1 more type of instrument. So let's just say lutes, flutes, drums, and what else could I be interested in? Or could I proficient in? What's another instrument that's kind of old-timey? Whatever, doesn't matter too much. You can find something out. Citerns, I guess. Citter. I spelled that right, okay. Alright, so proficient with all that kind of stuff. You start off with another musical instrument, one of your choice. So let's say drums. And another reason I like tieflings, especially tiefling bards, is because you have a tail. You can also play an instrument with your tail. So if I'm playing a tiefling bard or something and I'm performing, I would be playing my lute in my hands, and then I would just have my tail wrapped around a drum, and then smacking the drum to make noises. So just imagining that kind of stuff could make for some interesting RP performances and that kind of stuff. And like I said before, DMs like that kind of stuff. Just is interesting and can add some variation to your gameplay. Let's see here. Another piece of equipment you have is a favor from your admirer. So that can be a love letter, lock of hair, or a trinket or something. Let's say this guy has an old coin from a lost country. Did I spell that right? No. Yeah, pretty much, let's just say, oh yeah, this guy, his token from an admirer was a coin from a long-dead civilization. Interesting. You can choose something else that you want, and yeah, it'd be interesting. Let's see here. As an entertainer, you also get another costume, so you will have actually 3 costumes. And a pouch worth 15 gold. So you start off with 55 gold coins. Quite a lot. One of the highest starting gold values as an entertainer bard. Background entertainer. And you can pretty much determine your personality, ideals, bonds, and flaws from the bard stuff. I'm not going to go too in-depth into that. It's more or less up to personal preference, and from that you can choose your alignment and all that kind of stuff. And let's see here. I'm pretty sure that's almost everything. Let me review this stuff real quick. Oh, more skills. As a bard, you also have 3 starting skills. So, let's see here. As a bard, you can also put these into literally any stat that you want. So, let's say investigation. It's always good. History. That's also nice to have. And what else? Let's say persuasion. So like I said before, being proficient in a skill means you get +2 to it. So that would mean you get a +4 in acrobatics, a +3 in history, a +3 in investigation, a +5 in performance, and a +5 in persuasion. And all the rest of these are the stat that's determined for the modifier. You can just figure that out for yourself. And that's pretty much everything. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment if you want me to make a specific class that I haven't made yet. And keep on going, keep on playing D&D. It's always fun, ain't it?